Airport security in 2025 isn't exactly straightforward anymore. If you're traveling with medications or medical devices, even a small mistake can slow you down, make you miss your flight, or leave you without something essential when you need it most. This video will walk you through exactly how to bring medications on a flight, based on real experience from hundreds of trips and the newest TSA guidelines. You'll find out which medications are allowed, how to label and pack them properly, what to expect at the security checkpoint, and even some little-known resources that can make things way easier. If you're flying internationally, there are a few extra things to watch for, and I'll cover that too. Most of the time, especially on domestic flights, you won't have any serious issues bringing the medication you need. Health is personal, and in most cases, TSA agents understand that. But airport policies aren't always the same, and sometimes it depends on the person standing at the checkpoint. So let's go over everything you need to know, clearly, calmly, and with no surprises. If you're like most Americans, you probably take at least one prescription medication. The good news? TSA actually handles these cases with more flexibility than people expect. You're allowed to bring any FDA-approved prescription medication, whether it's in pill form, liquid, or a topical cream. And there's no limit on how much you can bring. Even better, prescription meds are not subject to TSA's 3-1-1 liquid rule, that annoying rule where liquids, gels, and aerosols must be under 3.4 ounces and fit in a quart-sized bag. To skip this, just pull your liquid meds out of your bag at security and let the TSA officer know their medications. This quick step ensures they're exempt and keeps your screening smooth. So if you rely on things like insulin, pre-filled injectors like an OmniPen, or prescription creams for conditions like eczema or psoriasis, bring what you need for your trip. No one's going to stop you. The same goes for cold packs or gel packs used to keep your meds at the right temperature. TSA allows them, even if they're partially melted. Keep your meds in their original labeled bottles, if possible. While TSA doesn't strictly require it, it's strongly recommended, especially for controlled substances like Adderall or Ambien, to avoid extra scrutiny or delays at security. Also, try not to combine different pills into one container. It just creates confusion. And whatever you do, don't check your prescriptions in your luggage unless you absolutely have to. Always keep them in your carry-on, so you've got them when you need them. Prescription meds, especially controlled substances like Adderall or Ambien, often steal the spotlight because they face stricter scrutiny at security. But over-the-counter stuff, it's way more relaxed. Since OTC meds don't need a doctor's prescription and aren't tied to legal restrictions like controlled drugs, TSA usually gives them a lighter check. You can bring as many OTC pills as you need. Tylenol, Advil, aspirin, you name it. There's no limit on how many you can carry. And it's not just pills. Liquid medications can also skip that tiny quart-sized bag everyone hates, as long as they're clearly for medical purposes. For example, saline solution for your eyes or contacts. Totally fine. Cough syrups like Dayquil? Totally fine. Just take them out separately and tell the officer they're for medical purposes. It makes the screening smoother. Even creams and gels that serve a medical purpose are treated differently. Things like hydrocortisone cream, antibiotic ointments like Neosporin, or pain relief gels like Icy Hot or Voltaren. All of those are usually allowed with no issues. And if you use skin protectants like Aquaphor or CeraVe ointment for medical reasons, like eczema, burns, or cracked skin, they count too. Just let the TSA officer know if they ask. Quick tip: keep these items separate from your toiletries, so it's easier to explain that they're medical related if needed. Most agents won't even blink, but being prepared helps everything go smoother. If you need to travel with a medical device, like an insulin pump, a CPAP machine, or syringes, you can absolutely bring them on board. TSA allows most devices like these, and even syringes are fine to carry, as long as they're paired with the medication they're meant for, like insulin. You can keep them in your carry-on or check them in, but keeping them in your carry-on is usually the better choice, especially if they're fragile or something you might need during the flight. Now here's where things get a bit tricky. Some travelers wear devices, like a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, or an insulin pump, and others may have metal implants from past surgeries, like a hip replacement or surgical screws. These can trigger extra screening at the security checkpoint. That's why it helps to give TSA a heads up as soon as you reach the line. Just say something simple like, "I'm wearing a medical device," or "I've got a metal implant." This lets them know what to expect and helps avoid confusion. If you're wearing an electronic device like a CGM or insulin pump, ask for a hand screening instead of going through the full body scanner or x-ray machines, as these could potentially damage your equipment. TSA agents are trained to offer alternatives like a pat-down. Bringing documentation like a doctor's note or a card from the device manufacturer isn't required, but it can be a lifesaver if questions arise, whether you're flying internationally or passing through a busy U.S. airport like O'Hare. One major thing to watch out for: medical marijuana and CBD products with more than 0.3% THC are completely banned on flights, even if you have a prescription. This applies to both carry-on and checked bags, and for all flights taking off or landing in the U.S. If you're flying internationally, check the security rules of your destination airport too, as some countries may require translated medical documents or have different procedures. Also, if you think you might need extra help at the airport, TSA has a program called TSA Cares. Fill out a short form at least 72 hours before your flight at tsa.gov, and they'll coordinate with you to make things easier. And if you have a hidden disability, consider using a sunflower lanyard to quietly signal that you might need assistance. It's recognized at many major U.S. airports, though availability varies. One last thing, give yourself extra time. Security checks with medical devices can take a few extra minutes, especially at busy airports. A little buffer can make a big difference. Now that you know what you can and can't bring, let's talk about how to actually prepare your medication for travel, starting with containers and labeling. For pills and tablets, TSA doesn't require them to be in the original pharmacy bottle. So technically, you're allowed to move them into a weekly pill organizer or an unmarked container if that's easier for you. But before you do that, take a moment to think it through, especially if you're carrying anything that's classified as a controlled substance, like Ambien, Vyvanse, or Adderall. With medications like these, TSA strongly recommends keeping them in their original bottles with clear pharmacy labels. That includes your name, dosage, and prescription details. And it's not just about TSA. It's also about other law enforcement or airport security agencies, especially if you're passing through airports with tighter screening or traveling between states with different medication laws. If you still choose to transfer pills to another container, it's a good idea to bring a copy or even a photo of the original label with you, just in case questions come up at security. Now, for liquid medications, whether they're prescription or over-the-counter, you'll want to keep them in their original packaging with a visible label. That's what signals to TSA that it's a medical item, and it's what exempts it from the standard 3-1-1 liquid rule. No label. It might get flagged as a regular liquid, like lotion or shampoo, and you could end up having to toss it. If you're flying internationally, take it a step further. Some countries have stricter rules than the U.S., and they may require your prescription to be translated into English, or even the local language. Always check with the embassy or airport authority of your destination country before you fly, especially if you're bringing anything that's prescription only or controlled. TSA may be flexible with medications, but when it comes to travel, especially long trips or international flights, it pays to be extra prepared. Start by making sure you've got enough medication to cover your entire trip. Then add a little buffer. Aim for at least 5 to 7 extra days worth. You never know when a flight might get delayed, or your return might get pushed back. If your current supply won't last that long, talk to your doctor or pharmacist ahead of time. Don't wait until the last minute. Some prescriptions, especially controlled substances, can take longer to refill or require extra paperwork. Speaking of that, if you're bringing anything that falls under controlled medication, it's a good idea to carry a copy of your prescription, and if possible, a letter from your doctor explaining your need for it. That kind of documentation can smooth things over if questions come up at security. Make sure the name on your prescription matches your ID exactly. Passport, driver's license, whatever you're flying with. Even a small mismatch could cause issues, especially at international borders. Now, if your medication needs to stay cold and you're using gel packs, make sure they're fully frozen before you leave the house. TSA allows them, but they need to be solid when you go for screening. And here's something most travelers overlook. Bring a detailed medication list. Not just in your head. Have a printed copy and a digital version saved on your phone. Include the brand and generic names for each medication, your dosage and frequency, any special storage instructions, and the name and contact info of your prescribing doctor. Add your own contact details, too, just in case your meds get lost and someone needs to reach you. And one last thing to consider. What if something happens to your bag? If your health depends on medication, it's smart to split it up. Keep most of it in your carry-on, but pack a small backup supply in your checked luggage too. That way, even if one bag gets lost, you've still got what you need. Having all of this on hand can make a huge difference, especially if you're flying internationally. Rules in other countries can be a lot stricter than in the US, and in the next part of this video, we'll go over a few real-world examples of what that can look like. Let's talk about the part that can make or break your airport experience. How you pack your medications before getting to the TSA checkpoint. Here's the golden rule. Keep all your meds and medical devices completely separate from your toiletries and place them somewhere easy to reach in your carry-on. Most travelers use a clear, resealable bag, like a Ziploc, to hold everything medication-related. Think of it as your personal medical essentials bag. And just to be clear, this bag should be totally separate from the one you use for your regular liquids, like toothpaste, shampoo, or moisturizer. Don't mix medications in with those. That's one of the easiest ways for something to get flagged or held up during screening. Having a clear bag also makes it obvious to TSA that these are medical items, so they're less likely to confuse them with things that fall under the 3-1-1 liquid rule. Inside this medical bag, you can keep your prescription and non-prescription meds, small devices, medical paperwork, and even frozen gel packs, if you need to keep anything cold during the trip. Once you've got everything packed neatly in that clear bag, the next step is deciding where to place it in your luggage. And this part really matters. Sure, TSA allows medications in both carry-ons and checked bags. But here's the thing. You always want to keep your meds in a small personal bag that stays with you the entire flight. Think a backpack, a crossbody, or a purse, something that goes right under the seat in front of you. Do not put your meds in your full-size carry-on that goes in the overhead bin. And whatever you do, don't check them unless you're carrying a backup supply. If your bag gets lost or delayed, you don't want your essential medication disappearing with it. Also keep in mind, on full flights, gate agents sometimes ask passengers to check their carry-ons at the last minute when overhead bins are full. If your medications are in that bag, you might suddenly be separated from them without warning. That's why they should always stay in your personal item. That's everything you need to know to travel safely with your medications in 2025. It's not just about getting through TSA. It's about making sure your health stays protected every step of the way. If you found this guide helpful, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more smart travel tips, especially if you're flying internationally. In the next video, we'll dive into what it's like bringing medications through customs in other countries and the surprising rules that could catch you off guard. Thanks for watching, and safe travels.